Wherever you are, however you are, God bless you. God give you strength. Just checking in to send you my love and my thoughts and my prayers and to ask the Lord to lift your spirit today. I know we need it. I know we need it. This is not easy. We're sailing uncharted waters here, facing unprecedented challenges. And so I pray for you. May the Lord give you strength. And I want to talk to you specifically about the topic of worst case scenarios. Worst case scenarios. We all have them, and knowing how to face them is essential. How do we control these fears so these fears will not control us? Now, if that topic interests you, I think I'm going to need about 8 minutes to unpack some really, I think, inspirational and practical thoughts on the topic. If that topic does not interest you, God bless you. God bless you. Be about your day. Stay strong. Share words of encouragement wherever you go. Believe that we're going to get through this because we really will. And may you have a great day. I'm going to be looking primarily in Matthew chapter 26. If you want to look at that text with me in your Bible, that's great. If you don't, that's fine as well. Keep in mind, we have an online Bible study that's absolutely free, and it's based on the theme, Anxious for Nothing. We have over 100,000 people going through this 5-week study. I think it's very appropriate because we're all battling anxiety, I mean, in addition to battling the virus, we're battling anxiety about the virus. And knowing how to face our anxieties is absolutely essential during this time. If you would like to be a part of that online Bible study, again, it's absolutely free. Videos are downloadable, curriculum downloadable. If you want to order the book that goes with it, that's optional, but the other parts are absolutely free. And perhaps there would be a word or two in there that could give you just what you need, just what we need just for the day. So I want to talk about this idea of these worst case scenarios, these Loch Ness monster fears that we have lurking that tend to be ill-defined and tend to steal our sleep. They steal mine. I woke up this morning at 3 a.m. It took me a while to fall back asleep. Maybe you've got such moments. If so, let's talk about them. And let's go to the Garden of Gethsemane to find out how to deal with them. The gospel drama is really played out on 2 stages. There's Golgotha's cross, where Christ died for our sins, but there's also Gethsemane's garden, where Christ showed us how to face our fears. On Golgotha's cross, Christ received upon him our punishment. He took our place. In the Garden of Gethsemane, he made the decision, however, to do that. And to make that decision, he had to face his worst case scenario, and that had to do with something called the cup. I'm looking in Matthew chapter 26 in verse 39. He prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup of suffering be taken away from me, yet I want your will to be done and not mine." A reader once called me on the phone and also called me on the carpet for the words I used in a book to describe the fear that Christ was feeling in the Garden of Gethsemane. I described Christ as eyes wide with a stupor of fear. This really bothered him. Well, I told him, you got to take your complaint to a higher level, because it's gospel writer Mark who paints the picture of Jesus as pale-faced and trembling. I'm looking here at Mark 14:33. Horror came over him. Horror came over him. In Matthew, in the gospel we're looking at, Matthew 26 and verse 37, one translation says Jesus was sorrowful and troubled. Another says he was anguished and dismayed. Another translation from a commentary says he was depressed and confused. Now, we've never seen Christ like this, not in the Galilean storm, not in the demoniac's necropolis, not on the edge of the Nazarene cliff. We've never heard such screams from his voice or seen his eyes this wide. And we certainly never read a sentence like this. The Message translates Mark 14:33. He plunged into a sinkhole of dreadful agony. Whew. So this is a weighty moment. Why? Of what was Christ afraid? Well, it had to do with a cup. He said, if possible, let this cup of suffering be taken away. Now, cup in biblical terminology is more than a drinking utensil. Cup equaled God's anger, His judgment, His punishment. The cup equaled Jesus' worst case scenario, to be the recipient of God's wrath. But to be our Redeemer, He had to be just that. He had never felt God's fury. He didn't deserve to. He had never experienced isolation from the Father. The two had been one for eternity. He had never experienced physical death. He was an immortal being. Yet within a few short hours, Jesus would face them all. On the cross, God would unleash His sin-hating wrath on His sin-covered Son. God would make Him who knew no sin to be sin for us. And in this moment, in the Garden of Gethsemane on Thursday night, Jesus was afraid. He was deathly afraid, but He didn't stay afraid. And His fears did not keep Him from fulfilling His mission. And what He did with His fears shows us what to do with ours. Just two thoughts. Number one, He prayed. He prayed, and He prayed specifically. And then number two, He prayed publicly. Look at this. He told His followers, Matthew 26:36, sit here while I go and pray over there. And then one prayer was not enough. Again, a second time, He went away and prayed. And He prayed a third time, saying the same words. He even requested the prayer support of His friends. Verse 41, stay awake and pray for strength. Now, Jesus faced His ultimate fear with honest prayer. He faced His ultimate fear with honest prayer. Let's do the same. And let's not overcomplicate this topic of prayer. I know we tend to do so. We prescribe words for prayer, places for prayer, clothing for prayer, postures for prayer, durations, incantations. And yet Jesus' garden prayer had none of those. It was brief. I count 22 English words here. It was straightforward. He said, let this cup of suffering be taken away. And then it was trusting. He said, Lord, but whatever you want, that's really what I want. It was really low on slick and high on authentic, less silver tongue and more a frightened child in a father's lap. That's how Christ taught us to pray. Remember, in the Lord's Prayer, as Jesus taught us, He said, begin your prayers with our Father who art in heaven. And you know probably already that Father is Abba, the equivalent of Papa or Daddy. It was a term of endearment. And so, my friend, when you face your worst case scenario, take your worst case scenario, climb into the lap of your Papa, climb into the lap of your Abba, and say, please take this cup away from me. You see, Jesus was specific. I think Satan wants us to indwell a world of ill-defined fog, like everything is bad or everything's going off the cliff. Get specific about your fears. I like to encourage people to see if you can reduce it down to a sentence. This is what I'm afraid of. This. I am afraid that because of the meltdown in the economy, Father, that I won't be able to pay the mortgage. I'm afraid. I am afraid, Father, because I need to go shopping and I'm concerned about infection. I am afraid. This is my specific prayer. I am afraid, Father, for my children. I'm afraid for their future. I'm afraid. I'm afraid, Father, for my precious spouse. She is elderly or he is frail. I'm afraid that somehow they're going to be diagnosed. I'm afraid, Father, of hospitalization and there being inadequate instruments, ventilators to take care of me. This is my specific prayer. And then say, would you take this cup? Would you take this away from me? Not my will, but your will be done. A reverent prayer, not a cocky prayer, but a reverent, honest prayer. We face honest fears with honest prayers. And we encourage others to help us in this prayer. Jesus did. Now listen to me. If Jesus needed to pray and he needed people to pray with him, how much more do we? Jesus needed to pray, and he took Peter, James, and John with him and said, sit here and pray for strength. He needed prayer support. If he needed prayer support, how much more do we? Try this. Recruit 2 or 3 friends. Recruit your version of Peter, James, and John. Hopefully yours will stay awake. Recruit 2 or 3 friends and text them or call them and say, I continue to battle this specific fear. Would you pray with me? Would you pray for me? And then say, how can I pray for you? You see, go public with your fears because that's what Jesus did. There's a passage in Hebrews chapter 5 and verse 7 that says that Jesus offered up prayers and petitions with loud cries and tears to the one who could save him from death. That's Hebrews chapter 5 and verse 7. He offered loud cries. He offered up prayers and petitions with loud cries. So he didn't keep his prayers a secret. I mean, he prayed loud enough to be heard, and he offered tears that could be seen. I'm not a big fan of false bravado. I'm really not. I don't think it gets us anywhere. I am a big fan of honest prayer. And friend, maybe I'm talking to somebody who has given up on prayer. And maybe you've even given up on God. And you're going into this crisis and you're wondering if God has given up on you. To you, I say, He has not. He loves you. You can go to Him again. He has not turned away. When we turn away from Him, He does not turn away from us. He's just waiting on you. He is waiting on you. You do not have what it takes to carry these fears without His help. You do not. I don't either. We are not intended to, but we can cast all our fears upon Him because He cares about us. So, be specific in your prayers and be public with your prayers. I really believe we're going to get through this. I really do. I don't have any inside knowledge. I don't have any access to any information coming out of the World Health Organization. I don't know anything you don't, but I do know this, and many of you do, that the Lord Jesus Christ is on His throne. He is still on His throne. And Romans 8:28 is still in the Bible. All things work together for good for those who love Him and are called according to His purpose. So I am convinced. I don't know how we'll get through this, and I don't know exactly where this is going to leave us, but I am absolutely convinced that God is going to use it for good, and we're going to come out stronger. Oh my goodness. God bless you, friend. I went a little long in this message. Forgive me. May the Lord give you strength. May He give you strength. If you have prayer requests, post them. We do our best to pray through this list. Many people do. We're in this together. I'll talk to you next time. I want to talk to you next time about the power of praying parents, but I'm going to resist the temptation of going down that track today. But the next time, we're going to talk to you parents about praying for your kids, and I hope it's encouraging.